You're going to mess around and a large, massive group of fans are going to be like, enough is enough. We've never had to see anything like it in sports, but you don't see these other leagues going around talking crazy about their fan bases all the time, like this league does. It's continuous. They're running their mouth about the people that are paying money to see them. You don't have other jobs where people walk up. You're in a public job that's in front of the...
Imagine spending months lining up flights, dropping triple-digit cash on tickets, and reserving a downtown hotel room only to discover the star you came to see won't even lace up her sneakers. That's exactly what happened to thousands of fans flocking to Indianapolis for the 2025 WNBA All-Star Weekend. One moment the city buzzed like March Madness. The next, the energy drained faster than a phone on 1%. But how did a simple groin tweak flip an entire marquee event on its head? And why did Angel Reese decide that was the perfect time to plant her own flag in Caitlin Clark's backyard? Stick around because the ripple effects may shape women's basketball for years.
This is a fake, one-sided rivalry. We got Angel Reese taking more shots at Caitlin Clark unnecessarily. You in Indiana having a great time partying. We see all the clips. Why can't you just do your thing?
Record demand followed. The initial allotment of lower bowl seats sold out in 17 minutes. Resale platforms reported average prices cresting $260, higher than any WNBA Finals game to date. And VIP packages promising meet and greets with both stars disappeared before the email invite hit most inboxes. Downtown hotels that normally fill during March Madness were booked solid through July, with room rates spiking 80%. Restaurateurs ordered extra shipments of pork tenderloin sandwiches, an Indiana staple, anticipating the biggest sports tourism weekend since Super Bowl 46. Corporate heavyweights took notice. State Farm filmed a pre-event commercial featuring Clark sinking shots on a canal barge, while Gatorade leased a vacant storefront to stage an all-star hydration lab, complete with augmented reality free throw games. In press conferences, League Commissioner Kathy Engelbert called it a watershed moment, while analysts predicted a broadcast audience north of 4 million. Numbers unthinkable just 3 seasons ago. On paper, everything looked set for the perfect sports movie crescendo. Hometown hero meets outspoken rival, primetime cameras rolling, and an economy ready to cash in. But no script survives its first plot twist.
From $121 all the way down to just $64 after news broke that Caitlin Clark won't be playing. These are people saying, I'm done. I don't want to watch. Caitlin Clark's not. I bought tickets solely to watch Caitlin Clark in the All-Star game. I made accommodations solely to get to Indiana to watch Caitlin Clark in the All-Star game. She's injured. I have no interest in that anymore. People are selling their tickets so much so they just want off of them. 121, okay. You want it for 100? Oh no, okay. I guess I gotta lower it to 80. Oh, you don't want to buy it for 80? Okay, I guess I'll lower it to 70. You don't want to buy it to 70? I guess I'll lower it to $64. The WNBA is paying attention to these trends, and they're seeing firsthand what Caitlin Clark is worth to this. It's unfortunate that Caitlin Clark missed it. The crowd would have been exploding. The crowd would have been exploding. The arena would have been exploding. Oh man, a big miss as far as the WNBA.
48 hours before tip-off, the Fever's social media account quietly dropped a press release most fans first saw as a notification on their phones. Caitlin Clark has re-aggravated a groin strain and will not participate in all-star events. Within minutes, the update was everywhere. ESPN bottom-line crawls, airport TV monitors, even the digital billboard outside Gainbridge Fieldhouse suddenly swapped hype graphics for a blunt get-well-soon number 22. Reporters scrambled. A hastily arranged media scrum in the practice facility captured Clark in sweats, flanked by trainers offering a short apology, voice steady, face tight. She promised she'd be back soon, then ducked through a side door for another round of treatment. The clip racked up 1 million views in an hour, but it wasn't the reassuring highlight the league had scripted. Behind the scenes, broadcast crews were rewriting rundowns on the fly. ABC producers cut the Clark Cam player tracker segment, replacing it with an archival package of her March Madness heroics. Sponsorship execs rifled through contracts to see which deliverables still applied without their marquee ambassador on the court. A tech at Ticketmaster described the refund requests like watching a dam crack, slow at first, then a rush you can't contain.
I'm in your city. Walk in your trap, take over your trap. Post it on Instagram. There's about 15 fans there and Reebok put up a board. You would expect Reebok to put up a board. Let's never forget that when let's never forget the gigantic Caitlin Clark Nike billboard in Chicago. Let's never forget that. So if Reebok didn't put up a board for
While Clark disappeared into treatment rooms, Angel Reese hit Indy like a nostalgia-era Jordan Brand Blitz. At 8 a.m. Friday, a convoy of matte black Reebok Sprinter vans rolled up to Monument Circle. Within minutes, street teams were slapping neon pink Reese Won Me Bounds decals on rental scooters and handing out QR-coded wristbands that promised a secret drop at noon. Downtown office workers streamed outside to film the commotion. By coffee break, the hashtag #JockerReeseInvades, Indy was trending in 23 states. The centerpiece, though, was her reel. Shot overnight with a local drone team, it opened on Reese striding past Gainbridge Fieldhouse in a vintage Indiana Fever warm-up jacket, an unmistakable wink at enemy territory before cutting to her lacing up the new kicks on the steps of the state capitol. Walk in your trap, take over your trap, the on-screen letters boomed, perfectly synced to Bankroll Fresh's bass drop. The video amassed 1 million views in under 4 hours and drew quick comparisons to Nike's classic posterized ads, except this time the star was very much alive and taunting, not commemorative. Yet the numbers told a simpler story. By Friday night, Google Trends showed Angel Reese shoes outsearching WNBA All-Star rosters. Reebok's US site briefly crashed under pre-order demand, and resale platforms had placeholder listings asking triple retail. Like it or hate it, the gambit worked, at least online. But while the internet lit up, the only metric that really matters still lives in the arena cash registers, and that's where reality was about to check the hype.
Caitlin Clark has never said a negative word, or to be honest, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, she did show it by her actions. She didn't need to say, I'm taking over Chicago. She did, however, go and put up 31 and 12, set a career high with 12 assists, be the only player in the history of the WNBA ever to have 31 and 12 in a game. She did, in fact, do that and then try to hype up the Chicago crowd. So it's fair enough, you want to say, oh, Caitlin Clark did this, then show it with your actions. Go and win MVP. Don't just be like, this is my city. Don't just come in and be like, this is my city. You've never won a game. Has she won a game in Indiana? I don't think she's ever won a game in Indiana.
Inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the numbers were just as stark. Concessionaires had staffed for 17,000 hungry fans. The league quietly circulated a memo asking stands to cut workers mid-shift if sales lagged. One merch kiosk operator admitted they'd printed 5,000 Clark vs. Reese t-shirts and sold fewer than 500 after the injury news. Unsold inventory was swiftly diverted to a clearance rack marked 60% off before the doors even opened. Corporate partners could only grimace. State Farm pulled a planned on-court halftime skit featuring Clark quizzing kids on insurance trivia. No star, no segment. A soft drink sponsor scrapped a live TikTok challenge that hinged on Clark's logo threes. Meanwhile, Reebok's pop-up, packed all morning, looked suddenly surreal against the backdrop of vacant seats and sagging gate revenue. Yet the harshest metric came from league accountants tallying projected economic impact. The Indianapolis Sports Corp had forecast a $32 million weekend windfall. Early Friday, remodels shaved that by almost a third. One city official summed it up off record. We built a castle on one player's ankles, and today, the sand washed out. And as the cash registers fell silent, social media turned the silence into a roar, framing the fiasco as proof that the so-called rivalry was propped up by just one superstar.
Reebok she's using. This is non-stop. She has attached herself to Caitlin Clark at every single turn, and she has benefited. Let's be clear here. Yes, she does receive backlash. She does receive negativity, but she has benefited greatly. She has made millions of dollars off of attaching herself to Caitlin Clark and using her to make her brand.
Memes flooded timelines, side-by-side photos of Clark icing her leg next to Reese's "I'm in your city" caption, sarcastic comments about 15 fans at the pop-up, and threads insisting the so-called rivalry exists only because Reese keeps stoking it. Clark, for her part, stayed radio silent, focusing on rehab. The imbalance only amplified chatter. Was this beef legit or a branding strategy with a built-in villain? Sports talk pods pounced within hours. ESPN's Around the Horn devoted a full segment to whether trash talk without the matchup helps or hurts the league. Even non-basketball influencers weighed in, using the dust-up as a textbook case of clout marketing. Meanwhile, Team Clark and Reese Hive battled in comment sections, racking up millions of impressions but little common ground. For all the noise, one truth echoed louder than any meme. Without Clark on the hardwood, the so-called rivalry had no real arena to play out, just an endless scroll of hot takes. And while fans argued online, players inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse were gearing up to send a very different message, one printed in bold capital letters across their warm-up shirts.
We have been following throughout the past 2 days surrounds a superstar herself, Caitlin Clark, the WNBA star, the Indiana Fever star, Caitlin Clark. She's going to miss all the action on the court.
During warm-ups, every All-Star marched onto the floor in a stark black tee stamped with one demand: pay us what you owe us. The slogan referenced simmering CBA talks, charter flights, expanded rosters, revenue sharing, but in this moment the message clashed with the reality fans had just witnessed: a 48% ticket free fall the minute Clark bowed out. Social feeds split down the middle. One camp applauded the courage to use the stage while you've got it, citing decades of underinvestment in women's sports. The other scrolled ticket price screenshots and asked how a league could demand bigger slices when the pie itself had just shrunk. Kelsey Plum fanned the flames with an offhand comment that 0 members of Team Clark showed up to the pay meeting. Cue another round of hot takes. Analysts dug up salary cap figures showing the WNBA's team payroll, $1.46 million per franchise, was less than a single mid-level NBA bench player. Players countered with travel horror stories, commercial layovers, red-eye delays, ankles swelling in coach. The points were valid, the optics remained messy. Even Clark herself, who'd publicly supported higher wages in past interviews, sat on the sideline in plain gray sweats, waving to kids in the lower bowl while her teammates stretched in protest gear. The visual contrast spoke volumes. The league's biggest draw, physically absent from the movement, meant to secure everyone a bigger future payoff. And as that visual ricocheted across TV screens, the spotlight shifted to cold, hard numbers, ratings, viewers, and a sudden plunge no slogan could hide.
The demand fell off a cliff. And it's not just the on-court product that suffers without number 22, Caitlin Clark. The entire weekend's economic opportunities have felt the fallout. This was conveyed with a July 18th post from NBA Central that wrote, quote, "The get-in price for the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis has dropped 48%, from $121 a ticket to $64 a ticket after the news broke that Caitlin Clark won't be playing." I mean, the tickets lost 50% of its value. These numbers are confirmed by TickPick's website, currently having the All-Star Game's get-in price at $64. In a July 16th article from Front Office Sports, which was posted before Clark announced she'd be sitting out, was $121.
Angel Reese's boldness proves controversy converts to clicks, and she'll almost certainly cash healthy royalty checks when the Reese one officially drops. But the weekend also underscored a systemic risk: lean too heavily on one megastar, and even minor injuries shake the whole revenue tree. As CBA talks heat up, players will cite skyrocketing valuations. Owners will point to the 48% price crash and ratings dip. Expansion to 18 teams by 2030 means fresh markets, but only if multiple stars share the load. Angel Reese may have walked in the trap, but without Caitlin Clark on the hardwood, there was no trap to take. The real takeaway isn't who won an Instagram flex, it's how one groin pull exposed the fragile scaffolding beneath a league on the rise. When Clark returns, and she will, the Fever's 2025 championship chase could rewrite every record book. Until then, the WNBA must answer, can it thrive on more than one pair of superstar shoulders? If you made it this far, drop Baby Giraffe in the comments, smash the like, and tell us, who benefits more from this so-called rivalry, Reese's brand or the league itself? Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter, because something tells me this story's only getting hotter from here.